Hey there, welcome to day 6 of the Amazon 10K challenge, where we're going to launch together a product from $0, from not knowing what it is, all the way up to $10,000 a month on Amazon FBA. It's going to be 100% transparent on this channel, so you can see every step that I'm taking and replicate that at home along for yourself and get that financial freedom that you deserve. Remember to join the Facebook group. The link is in the description. Remember to join the course if you have any extra questions or you need extra training. The course will give you certainty around every single step that you take. It's an 11.5-hour must class. Save $200 by using the link in the description. This is day 6, and we are in phase 2 of 8, which is the improve the product phase. And yesterday was the first day of this in day 5. I do want to apologize for a little bit lower energy on my behalf yesterday. I was super tired and the day wasn't my finest, but today's a really, really good day. We are going to be going over how we're going to improve our scratch map, which if you haven't seen day 1 through 5, go watch it now and meet me back here. We have chosen to launch a scratch map. So just to refresh everybody's memory, I'm going to pull that up on Amazon. Scratch map. It is a travel map where we can scratch off where we've traveled to and reveal the colors underneath. I don't know if it's actually too practical. I know they sell, which is why we're going to be trying to get ours to sell. We're going to get ours up to 10 Gs a month. But I've been doing a lot of research on these overnight, and I've actually been doing a lot of research prior to this because I have actually done some work in advance to help this series run smoothly. So I'll be using some work I've done in the past to help launch these maps. But I was thinking to myself, they're not actually that practical. I mean, they're going to inspire you to travel a lot, but in order to scratch off all these countries in Africa and Russia and all these countries, you're going to have to travel a lot. I have a feeling people just scratch it off as a sort of hobby. It does look really pretty once it's scratched, so I have a feeling people just scratch it and put it on their wall. But either way, in this day, we're going to be going over some really, really fun stuff, some important stuff, the stuff that I really love, and it's innovating on our product and designing a new, it's creating something new, which is why I love it, because our product doesn't exist yet, and your product doesn't exist yet in this phase, and we get the chance to create something that doesn't exist for people who want to buy it. And that's why I really like making sure we have a high quality product. I always like to go premium. 1, because we can charge more and make more money. 2, because we're going to get great reviews on that and great feedback, and we're going to have a long-term successful business. And 3, because it really does make people happy when they receive high-quality items. So that's going to be really important. I will be touching on this, but on a lower budget, it's going to be harder to innovate, and I'm going to be showing you we are on a sort of medium-sized budget at 4 Gs. So we will be doing some smaller innovations, but nothing too crazy. We're not going to revolutionize this category, at least today. We may be doing that in the future. That might be a fun series. But basically, on a smaller budget, especially if you have $1,000 budget or below that, you might not be able to innovate too much on your first product, but that's going to be totally fine because there are, if we go deeper into these maps, not on page 1, maps that are exact replicas of each other, and they're all getting sales. Then not a lot of sales, but they are making some money. So if you come in here and you have let's see what this one is, pretty standard looking map. The good thing is if you are following along with this and you are also in the masterclass and you have all these strategies, you're going to know how to market better than this person. So even if you launch an exact replica of this person and a better listing and we know how to market it, we're going to be doing more than they are, which is $6,000. Is that the one? It was a prairie something. There we go. You're gonna be doing more than $4,000. So you'll be making $1,000 or $2,000 a month, which you can then reinvest in the next shipment and keep innovating. Every time I order a new shipment, which I'll be showing you in this series once we sell out our first shipment, I like to innovate and add something else. So every time you reorder from your supplier, you make your product better. And therefore you have a long-term marketing strategy where our product gets better and better and better, and we're innovating and becoming the number 1 go-to product in whatever it is that we are selling. So today we're going to be innovating. I'm going to show you how I come up with my unique selling proposition, which is the one thing that sets me apart from everybody else. What is our specialty in this scratch map area? I'm also going to show you how I would come up with brand names and packaging design, map design, and how to translate that so that when we are going to talk to our supplier, which might be tomorrow, it might be the next day, I am not 100% sure, we'll see how today goes. But when we talk to our supplier, we are talking in a language that they can understand. It will be English, of course, but we want to make sure we have like graphic representations of what we really want, because it is sometimes really hard to communicate back and forward with your supplier. There's a language barrier, cultural barrier, a business barrier, and sometimes it's really hard to get what you want out of your supplier. So I'm going to make sure that we have a visual representation of what we want that we can send to our supplier. And I'm going to teach you how I do it and how you should do it too. So let's jump in and get started. Don't miss out on this. We are giving away an Amazon product idea that I personally found that will make you over $5,000 every month, $1,000 of PayPal cash to buy your stock, and a fast-track Amazon FBA coaching session to ensure that you launch your product perfectly. To win, all you need to do is subscribe, turn on post notifications, and comment below why you want to start an Amazon FBA business. Enter now, then let's jump into this video. Quickly before we jump in, I've had a couple of people point out that this lockpick set, I know a lot of people are going to jump in and do these ideas, are not allowed to be sold on Amazon, which would explain a lot of the reasons why all those listings are so new. So if you're doing lockpick set, make sure you triple check it's allowed on Amazon. I don't want anyone jumping into that and then having their product pulled down. Thanks for the people who pointed that out. And again, if you wanted to do one of these products, feel free to. It might start to become a little bit competitive, but right now I think you should be fine. I'm fine with anyone who wants to launch a scratch map alongside me. It's a marketing game. I have faith in my marketing. It's not about hiding ideas. It's about taking action and claiming your share of the market based on your marketing abilities. And if you have this series and the course, you're going to have some very great marketing abilities. We're innovating on our product right now, which means we need to log our expenses here. We had 116 in the first phase. We haven't had any expenses yesterday. We will have a couple today in the form of graphics design and stuff like that. I actually do a lot of my own graphic design, and I have a graphic designer on the team, so I'll be trying to figure out how to budget that in and what it would cost you if you did the same thing, because we are sort of in today. What we want to do is we want to bring our product to life visually, because we're going to do a lot of recon on it and see what we want, and we're going to form what we want in our head or on an Excel sheet over here, what we want to put into that map, but it's going to be really hard to describe it if we don't bring it to life visually. So that is the purpose of today, and that's what you should be working towards. Here are the pros and cons. Now, watch yesterday if you didn't know how I got here, but basically I looked at my competitors' reviews to see what they're saying and see what they're asking for in a map. I also looked through Google, I looked through YouTube, I looked through Facebook ads, a ton of research I did on these maps to see what people like about them, see where they were invented, see who's buying them, who our target audience is. The full process for that is inside the course, but basically you want to be 100% familiar with your target audience and 100% familiar with your industry or your niche. So these were my takeaways. What people didn't like about the map was it was too small. I'm going to bold that one because that's going to be one of our unique selling propositions. And unique selling proposition should be one thing. I'll explain why we're going to do more than one. Not easy to flatten, so the maps were curled. Crowded and busy. Not as a niche, but they said that the map was too crowded and busy. They wanted a simpler map. I'll bold that one too. It came scratched, so when they opened it, there was already some scratches on the map, which is not a good thing. The map rips when you scratch it. Instead of it like scratching off the exterior layer and showing the color underneath, it ripped the fabric. And then too thin and flimsy, so it was like a piece of paper. I don't have a piece of paper, I have a Band-Aid here, which is not going to help. But they said it was too thin and flimsy, the actual map itself, which is obviously not a good thing, especially if we want to go on the premium end. So we're going to be working on that too. Easy to scratch off. People always like, I want something that's easy to scratch off. We're going to bold that one. And then a beautiful design. A lot of people were saying that's a beautiful design. So they're talking design-wise was really important to them. I've bolded 6 things here. And what I want to stress to you is if you are have done this research and you've got a pros and cons list of what people like and how you're going to innovate and make that product the best product in the market, and you're on a small budget, you don't have to tackle all these things at once, and you don't have to decide what your unique selling proposition is here, because we're going to take all this information and talk to the supplier and see what's possible to be done. So we don't have to finalize the map design, finalize everything here. We just need to know what we want to improve on, talk to the supplier if it's possible, and come up with innovations and strategies. For example, easy to scratch off if the supplier's like, oh no, the map can't be changed, the material has to be this, and sometimes it is hard to scratch off. I'll be like, okay, what sort of scratcher is going to make that thing easier? Do we use a guitar pick? Do we use a metal one to make it easier to scratch off? So it's about thinking on your feet and innovating and solving the problems that people actually want you to solve. The thing I keep coming back to is this is what our target audience and our customers have told us, and we've seen this through their reviews on other people's products. We're not making this up, and this is not coming from my head or my thoughts. It's coming directly from the people who are going to be buying our product. So it's important that that's where you start, and you will finish here where we can see what they are saying. So we want to make our map easy to scratch off, beautiful design, not too small. So we want to make it nice and big, not too crowded or busy. Doesn't rip, and not too thin and flimsy. These ones are probably going to be the same, so I might just put that one in here just to simplify things. And they're the 5 things we want to concentrate on in our map to make it superior and the best map out there. So where do we start? I have my map designed now. I have what I want to put into a map. I always lose we can close that one. I always lose my tabs. How do we get this into a visual picture that we can easily show people and show our supplier and show our friends and family and get people's advice on our product before we spend money manufacturing it? I always like to come back to what other people are doing. So I came back here and I wanted to see what the best sellers are doing. And what I realized is there's some really cool pictures in here. I really like this sideways looking map with the accessories and stuff in front of it. I think we'll definitely be doing something similar to that. You can see this guy's unique selling proposition is just his color. He's switched his color screen. There's millions of different unique selling propositions that you can do. This guy's got a different design. Instead of being gold on the outside, he's got a nice color on the outside. At least I think that's the outside, or is that the underlayer? That is the underlayer, so he does have gold. But you could do it the opposite way. You could have the nice color on the outside and the gold underneath, for example. Not that people want that, but I'm just saying there's millions of ways you could potentially innovate. Let's find this person. Their name is One Deer. I think it's like idea, but all one instead of an I. This person, scribe what now? There's another one. Lucky's is the original inventor. They're called Lucky's from London, I think, and they make great maps. But this person right here, One Deer, so ID.me, it's a very expensive one, $55, so it's super, super premium. They don't actually sell that many, which is important because what we're going to try and do, you can see this is an absolutely beautiful map, very much simply laid out, nice countries, and have a look when it's scratched off. It's the colors are very beautiful and well organized. The gold seems to shine better than so you can see how that gold shines. I'm not sure if that's Photoshop or if that's the actual shine, but we'll be asking our supplier about that. Great photos. They do really well. And the map looks gorgeous. But they don't sell too well because they have a very high price point. If we jungle scout this together, they're only making 11 Gs a month, which of course that is our goal. So I'd be happy with that. But I honestly want to make 30 Gs a month on this product, just to show you guys what is possible. So they're not doing as well as a lot of other simpler maps, and I think it's mostly because of their price point. So what I think is possible. Oh, the other thing to point out there, I got a large map, 31.5 inches by 23.6. Most of them are a lot smaller than that. Some are even down to 12. So this is one of the biggest maps out there. And there's not that many people who have that same size map. And remember, too small was one of the feedbacks we got over here for what they didn't like. So what I want to do is I want to basically use this map as inspiration. In no way am I going to directly rip off someone else's product, especially if it's a custom design like this and it's not just OEM, or it's not just the If it's the basic one that your supplier makes, then a lot of people are going to be selling that anyway, and you can just go and sell that same thing. But this is someone else's design, so I'm not going to be using his graphics or anything, but we're going to be using this one as an inspiration for our product, to innovate on our product, and then market it better than him, to make more money than him or her. I don't know who owns this company, but basically, we're going to make ours nice and big. We're going to make ours. I like this color scheme. I might keep this color scheme. I wanted to maybe simplify it a bit because people say it's too crowded and busy. So I'm thinking of taking the bottom. I always get lost in my tabs. Here we go. I want to take maybe that bottom bit off and just have it just a straight map with no legend. Thinking about it. We'll get the design done very, very soon. Maybe tomorrow I'll be able to show you the design. But basically, we want to use this product to send to our supplier to ask him what is possible to replicate in this, and then add our changes from here. So this will be the baseline of what we're using, and you can see it's by far the best designed map. The other one I'll show you. I don't know what I'm doing in here. Luckies. Luckies of London. Here we go. So this was the original scratch map creator, the idea apparently. Here we go. They got a nice matte black one, which I was thinking of doing because there's not too many matte blacks. But again, you can see, even though I'm innovating on a product, because we have a lower budget, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. I don't need to come up with something brand new that nobody else is doing. I just need to be able to market it better, to market the best products better than the. Look at this, it's making $1,000 a month. It's doing no money. So I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I can just take these great ideas that people already have and that I think look good and match what the target audience is looking for, and market them better than they are currently doing. So I was thinking of doing this one, but I think not. We'll keep this one as a plan B in the back pocket. So bring that mic a little bit closer. And basically, we're going to be trying to replicate something similar to this, but again, we want to do something that's our own, uniquely our own, and we want to do better than this. We want to have the best product, not just equal first. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I like to do, if you haven't done this already, and you haven't needed to do it already because we haven't known what we're selling and what sort of brand we're doing, but I like to come up with a logo. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm a very visual person, and I like to have an identity or a face to the business or a face to my product. And that's why the first thing I want to do is make a logo. The way you can choose a brand name and a logo design I'll get into in a second. Brand name, really easy. Come see what other people are calling it. Go through the reviews of what other people are saying they like about the map, and you can actually have your unique selling proposition inside the brand name, if necessary. So it could be too crowded busy. Ours could be simple. This is going to sound really lame, but it's just an example off the top of my head. Simple, large, scratch map. Ink. It sounds terrible, I know, but you can. I'm just trying to say that you could put your unique selling propositions in the title in some way. If you were doing a health sort of product, you could have like solutions or therapy at the end of your name. So it could be Benji Therapy or whatever. My brand names are not on point right now, but it does take a little bit to create. But basically, you can put your unique selling propositions in your brand name, and it'll make people confident when buying your product because they can see that if it's in your brand name, they're going to think it's going to be in your product as well. What I did to come up with my brand name is I'm looking at what other people are doing. Maps International, Earth Habitats, Landmass Goods, Sonder Wonders, Velesh. There's one called Wanderlust, which I really loved. I thought that was the best one. Travel Genius. So Traveler's Dream could be a Wanderlust was my favorite one. So I wanted to sort of, with my brand name, set the scene of like what they want to feel when they are buying this map. And so you can come in and like a Wanderlust synonym is a great way to come up with a brand name. You can click on just the first link to the thesaurus and see what comes up. Wayfaring, wandering, etc. What I came up with in the end was this, Odyssey World Maps. I think Odyssey describes the adventure / the journeys that people are taking and travel, and then the world maps is just because it's a world map. This logo really, really simple. I got my graphic designer to do it. It was done a little bit in advance, which is why we've got this so quickly. And it didn't cost me much at all, probably about $10 to $15 for her hourly wage. If you don't have design skill and you don't have a designer, go to Fiverr.com. They're really, really good. If you're premium, if you have a big budget, go to 99designs.com. It's going to be most people watching this will be Fiverr. I would do Fiverr myself, but if you have a big business and you want a really professional logo done, you can get 99 Designs for a couple of $100. Fiverr, you should be able to get it for about $5 to $50 for a good one. Basically, logo design is the best way to search it. I don't have anyone I recommend. Have a look at people who are doing similar things to what you want and get them to design it for you. You can see there's some really nice ones. Best way to do it if you don't have design skills yourself. Don't overcomplicate it. Just find someone and get it done. Doesn't have to be perfect the first time. You can totally change your logo and name the second time, which is the key to this whole journey. Don't overthink it. Just take action. The next thing we want to do is we want to get together something like this, which my graphic designer has also done for me based on my instructions and research. This is the map supplier instructions. So basically the supplier instructions visual sheet, we'll call it. And what it does is it has to be numbered, because you'll see what I'm talking about if you have contacted any Chinese suppliers specifically. It's very, very hard to get your instructions across, and it's very hard for them to reply to all your questions at once, especially if you put 3 or 4 questions in an email. Always put number your questions so that they can write back answer to number 1, answer to number 2. It saves a lot of time. How we've done this is basically we've used our unique selling proposition sheet, and we've created what I would think is the perfect product. Now, I don't expect to get this product is another key thing. A lot of people waste time because their supplier can't do exactly what they want. We don't need exactly this, but we need to know what is possible. So this has been taken as inspiration from a lot of products that are selling, mainly that one Dia has inspired a lot of this. You can see this is actually the one Dia map that we are sending as a design. In here we've put our little logo on that, and we've cut off the bottom. But basically what we want them to do is see if it's possible to do something like this. We're not going to directly copy. The soft lamination, so not many of these maps did it, but what I found is some of them are just the gold on top of a paper, and other ones are the bottom layer is actually laminated and the gold's placed on top of a lamination, and it makes it really easy to scratch off. I want to see if that's possible. And then we want tissue paper on top of laminated map just for packaging reasons. Roll it up together. Again, be very, very specific. And then we had a look at what accessories people like and what sort of scratches people like. And we wanted to go with an all-white theme. This one here is actually a liquid chalk pen where you can draw on the map. A few people were doing that. I think it's a great idea. And we'll be talking to one supplier specifically, and of course they won't have all these accessories in stock, but if you are bundling stuff like this, you just get your supplier to find other accessories. If they can't find them, then you can go reach out to other factories and put your suppliers in touch and say, this guy can do it, talk to him. But basically, send everything to your main supplier, which will be our map supplier, and get them to try and organize everything else. We want a cloth to wipe off the chalk. A white plastic scratcher was ideal for us. And then push pins to put it into the wall, because some people ask for that. Not a big deal there. Packaging, we went for plain and simple, black with a logo on it, just to send out supplier. This is probably not the finalized packaging, but to send, I don't know what's happening. There we go. Just to send to the supplier would be great. We've also done an accessory instructions in case we needed to send that to a second factory in order for them to source it for us. This one's unnecessary. I just wanted to show you that you can do more than one of these and send them to different people. But basically, this is a visual representation of our product using what other people are doing well and what other people are doing poorly. This would be our perfect map. And what you need to do is get this together as well. If you can't use Photoshop or a program like Photoshop, again, you can give instructions to someone on Fiverr. I recommend trying Photoshop, at least for this one, because you don't need, like this right here, I think we typed in like rolled up poster into Google Images. It doesn't have to be created by you. These are all photos taken from Google Images and put into one image here, and then written on with red text across with exact dimensions. I can see our dimensions actually off here. One of these is supposed to be 32 inches. We'll have to fix this. 80 GSM. So we're asking for the density to be really thick. You don't have to know. This is another really big point. You don't have to know everything about your product, because your supplier is always going to have a ton of questions that you have no idea what the answer is to. They might ask us, what sort of material do we want to print on? And to me, it's like, I don't know. The first time I did my product, they asked me some crazy questions. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they were because it'll give away my product. But just some really, really specific questions, down to like, what sort of stitching do you want? And I don't care really. I'm just like, the best way to answer those questions is ask what is popular, or what do you think is the best for us. Ask your supplier, get their results. And if they can't give you a direct answer, make it up. There's no hard and fast rules. See what other people are doing, use what they're doing, or just make it up. How many grams, I don't know what GSM actually stands for, grams per square meter? I don't know. And if they're like, how many GSM do you want? And I didn't have this answer already pre-prepared, I'd say, what is the thickest? Because I want mine to be really premium. I don't have to have very specific answers, and you don't have to be perfect, because we can always order a sample, remember? And then from that sample, we can be like, oh, that's definitely too thick. It comes back this thick. So you don't have to have all the answers to the questions they ask. And trust me, they're going to ask some very specific questions. Post your questions in the Facebook group if you get any crazy specific ones you'd like to share. And you just want to know what you want. And it's going to be a back and forward with your supplier until you can create a sample, and then they can ship that sample to you. And then it'll be another back and forward based on questions you don't really care about. You just want your product as quick as possible. But what you want to do is you want to have one of these to send your supplier. Now, I think that will conclude our phase 2, which is very exciting because we're now already into getting a supplier. This one was a quick phase. I had done some pre-work for you, so it could be a lot quicker. This might take you a couple more than 2 days. It's not a problem at all. Just keep working, keep taking action, stay up with me, and we can start contacting the supplier tomorrow, because again, you don't have to have this finished before you contact suppliers or learn how to contact suppliers. These phases, I don't have it pulled up today. Where are we? 10K, there we go. These phases are not distinct phases. They will mesh in with each other. And I already have a lot of stuff created for our listing already based on today's phase, and I'll be walking you through that in phase 4. But we are now in phase 3. We're finding a supplier using this sheet. We're rolling quickly. It's only day 6. We're getting a supplier. We'll get that done in 3, 4, 5 days maybe, and then we'll be on to the listing while they send out the sample or the stock into Amazon. I'll teach you how to do all that, and we'll be able to optimize our listing to be the best scratch map listing out there. Remember to take action. Remember to get the masterclass if you have any more questions. There's a whole lot of in-depth training that you won't get here, and it'll answer all your questions and make sure that you're making the right steps every step of the way. So get that. Make sure you subscribe, turn on your post notifications. Tell me if you want to see anything else in this series that I haven't actually covered. I'm trying to make this comprehensive and as motivating as possible. I'm excited to take on scratch maps at the worst time of the year, post-Christmas. It's going to be a toy. It's going to be a present. It's been tested by a lot of people and said that it wasn't any good. Jungle Scout score is a 7 or an 8 depending on the time. But again, it's flooded with all of the same sorts of listings, and that's why we really need to innovate, and that's why we really need to have something different, have a superior offer in order to stand out. And again, that's not 100% true. It's not 100% necessary. If we had a $500 budget, we could definitely get these done very stock standard, and then flip our $500 into $1,000 over the period of a month or so, and then start to innovate. But if you do have a little bit of a budget, definitely, we got to put our budget in. Definitely use that budget to innovate. So we had graphic designer. I could have done this myself as well, but I value my time more than my graphic designer's time. So it's definitely good to outsource it. So I'm going to say it was about, I'm actually going to project what it would cost you more than what it did cost me. If you get it done on Fiverr, the 2 images, so the logo design and the visual representation, it shouldn't cost you more than $50. You can pay more than that if you want to pay more than that and get a little bit higher quality. You can pay a lot less. You could get it done for 10. So again, it's not expensive. Brings our total to $166. Remember, this is investment money. This is not expenses. Everything that we're putting into this, we're going to get back over and over again with our $10,000 or $4,000 a month, or however much we end up making. I'm excited to, like I said, blow that out of the water. Tomorrow is going to be really exciting. We're going to be finding suppliers together. Let me know if you have any questions. Comment below your thoughts, and thanks so much for being here.